Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's the number one chief rocker at Knicks Universe, your main man, Uncle Freezie. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm joined by the co-host, Stephanie, aka Queen, aka BK Steph, the Queen Bee. What's good, boss?
I'm good, Freezie. I'm good. Looking forward to this show. Always a pleasure to chomp it up with you and the chat.
Yeah, chat. How y'all doing out there today? Chat out. How y'all doing out there today? I got a thing just really quick. I want to troll the chat today.
Okay.
Chat, prepare to be trolled, right? I want to ask you guys, chat. I want to ask you guys, um, how do you guys feel? Right? How do you guys feel about the Knicks front office and how you feel about Tom Thibodeau? And so while I've thought about this a lot, Queen Bee, I hadn't really given it. So I think about it a lot. I don't think about it deeply, right? You know how it's like dinner options. You think about dinner options every day, but you don't never go in depth like with dinner options. Like,
Mm-hmm.
should I get a chef to come? You know what I'm saying? Now, I ain't going that far with it. I'm just thinking like, yeah. So let me start by asking you this: how did you feel about the job that the Knicks front office has done since they've been in place?
I mean, I I'm kind of split, to be
Okay,
honest. I'm kind of split because it's about results.
right,
And when you think about the results, no, the Knicks haven't won a championship, but
right,
we're a much better franchise and better respected franchise than we were before this front office came along. And that has to account for something. I thought the Knicks front office was an actual joke. I didn't think, organization, I should say. I didn't think we were focused on winning. I wasn't quite sure what we were doing. And I
right,
think this front office came in and gave us a direction, right? That we were going to be about winning, that we were going to be about building a team, building a roster, building toward championship contention. Are we there yet? No. Do I feel they're a bit more conservative than I would like them to be? Yes. Do I feel like they've held on to players? They're all about asset management, but I feel like there were some players they held on too long. We got absolutely nothing for them. That had we moved on sooner, we could have gotten something from. It's a mixed bag for me. I think the jury is still out, but overall, I think it's a plus. They've been a plus.
okay, okay. Right. How do you feel about Tom Thibodeau and what he's done since he's been here?
Yeah, so this is a sore spot for me because I'm a Tom Thibodeau fan. I
Okay.
wanted him here when the candidates were announced. I wanted Tom Thibodeau. I just felt like the way this organization and his team had been, we needed someone like Tom that was going to come in and clean it up, create culture, give us some structure. That being said, I don't think he's been perfect. And that being said, I can't say I agree with everything he's done, but results speak for itself. He's been
Right.
here 3 years. We've been in the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years.
Right.
We have an all-star, all NBA player. Would Randall have been on that trajectory without Thibodeau? Perhaps. I think him and the culture he's brought has done a lot in terms of us being respected around the league. Like we
Okay.
complain about Tom Thibodeau, other coaches respect him, though.
Okay.
So overall, he hasn't been perfect, like I said, but I think he's done a good job for us.
Okay. Okay. I think the fans are mixed and fickle.
In what way?
The fans are mixed in that clearly they forget what life was like before Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau. You feel me? Like life before Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau was 17 wins, our best player at times was Mario Hezonja. Right.
And
Our
how
best
excited we got when he dunked on was it LeBron or Giannis? One of them.
on Gian, he dunked on Giannis and he blocked LeBron's shot to win the game.
Right.
Right.
Those were our highlights.
Those, oh God, I almost puked just now when you said that. Right. So my thing is, okay. Before I get into like how I feel, I'll speak to you on what I've seen from fans. What I've seen from fans is a constant up and down, back and forth summation of what Leon Rose does and doesn't do, and what Tom Thibodeau does and doesn't do. For instance, the fact that the Knicks didn't trade for a star, right? It puts us in that situation where since day one, since they got here, this front office was supposed to trade for a star. The first star they were supposed to trade for back in 2021 was Chris Paul, right? Chris Paul was a target. Oh, Leon Rose and Chris Paul have an excellent relationship. That's an easy one. Soon as he get here, he's going to trade for Chris Paul. Chris Paul was his agent. And so as the years go by, every year it's a different target.
Right.
Every year, like, it goes from Chris Paul to, I think, the year before last. So 2021, I guess it was Chris Paul. 2022, it was Donovan Mitchell. 2023 is Cat, sprinkling some Damian Lillard in there over the course of the years. And I think the expectation is this front office, the fans say this front office is supposed to trade for a star, but the front office has never said, at least I can't recall them ever saying that they were going to trade. I don't ever recall hearing Leon Rose ever saying that they're going to take those assets and trade for a star. I don't ever remember him. Do you remember that? Ever hear him say that?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Now I heard the rumors attributed to him that the Knicks are saving these picks and the Knicks are going to do this and the Knicks are going to trade for such and such guy and the parameters, but I think Knicks fans kind of go back and forth on the trade for a star thing.
Right.
Because like in the offseason, it's always, hey, trade for a star. At the end of the season, once we accumulate, and I'm not talking about the injury season, the season where Alec Burks had to play point guard. I discount that season as an injury season because three point guards were hurt. We wound up bringing back Damian Dotson at one point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We wound up bringing in a bunch of guys because we had so many injuries. So if you discard that season, the other two seasons, we made the playoffs. And during those playoff runs, we were, steadfast in this thing where we didn't believe we needed a star then. All we needed was a guy to bring in to complement the guys that we have. Right? So Knicks fans, like in the offseason, is yes, the Knicks are going to trade. The Knicks are going to trade for Michael Jordan. And then towards the end of the season, we're like, no, Jalen Brunson is a superstar. We don't need that guy. Now, the same thing with Tom Thibodeau. Right? In the offseason, we're frustrated with Tibs because of the way the seasons end. The 2021, the season ended. We looked bad offensively, and the thing was, hey, man, we got to get rid of Tibs because his offense is whack. And then this year, we ended the season not poorly, but bad in terms of emotion. Like, we felt like we could have competed with the Miami Heat. Feel like if we beat the Miami Heat in game 6, because in reality, we lost by 4. Mm-hmm. But in theory, it was a 2-point game, right? When we failed to get our 2 points, we had to. Okay, Siri, geez. But in theory, it's a 2-point game. If we hit a 2 or a 3, we tie the game. Right. With the mindset that game 7 in Madison Square Garden We felt like we probably could have beaten the Heat, but we didn't. So there's a bitter taste left in your mouth about how the season ended. So I think the fans go back and forth on Leon Rose and Tibbs, right? Depending on the scenario. How I
Mhm.
feel about them, I feel twofold. I feel like the roster is more talented than what Tom Thibodeau is getting out of it, right? And then I also that's just the thing on Tom Thibodeau, and don't knock on him because every coach has a style that they are comfortable with playing. They bring a certain thing to the table, and I don't, like, for instance, I don't care how many receivers you got. Bill Parcells wants to run the football. Just the analogy, right? It doesn't matter how many receivers you got, what talent they have. Bill Parcells wants to run the football, right? And same thing with Tibbs. It doesn't matter how many guys with 40-inch verticals and all this stuff you have. Tom Thibodeau may be the greatest defensive-minded head coach in NBA history, possibly. He's in the conversation, right? My thing is knowing that, and then asking him to be an offensive mastermind is naive. Tibbs is a great defensive minded coach. Um, um, I've never seen, as long as I've been watching NBA basketball, I've never seen any coach do what he did in December. He scrapped a defensive philosophy and created a brand new one and implemented it the next day. And then the Knicks went on a 9-game winning streak. And I know people want to attribute it to the 9-man rotation. It wasn't that, right? Tom Thibodeau went from the ice pick and roll defense on a Saturday where we got blown out by Dallas and didn't show up to a peel and react type defense. Tibbs said, "Listen, if you get killed on a screen, don't worry about it. Just go to the next open guy." And at times it looked great, and at times it looked bad, because if you get two guys reacting to the same player, you're scratching your head like, why are they double teaming a such and such guy as opposed to, leaving a guy wide open. So my thing is ultimately what I'm getting at is the front office was dealt a bad hand. The roster was terrible. And to expect them to turn the roster into a championship roster within 4 or 5 years, I think is also naive. And then the thing with Tom Thibodeau, I think expecting Tom Thibodeau to go from a guy that's a defensive minded to expect Tom Thibodeau to go from Buddy Ryan to Mike Martz or Steve Spurrier is naive.
Well, this is what I will say. I don't think I agree with the point that the roster was more talented and Tibbs just wasn't able to take advantage of the talent that's on this roster. I think that this
Okay.
was um, a roster that didn't really fit together. I think this was a roster that didn't have enough shooting on it, didn't have enough balance, didn't have enough defenders on it, and we were able to be top 5 in offensive rating because Tibbs and the coaching staff came up with some sort of hookah way of us scoring points because we didn't have bona fide shooters on the team. The second thing I'll say is you could say what you want about the offense. We should have more cuts. We should have more pick and rolls. We should have more this and that. And I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, you got to have players who can execute that. If this team, this same offense, because we've seen there's games in this season where the Knicks move the ball and hit the shots with this same offense, and it looks spectacular. And there were other games with the same personnel where we didn't pass the ball and we didn't hit shots, and it looked terrible. So how can the same offense look great one game and not great other games? I think I don't care what your offense is. You can put in a nice motion offense with cuts and backdoor plays. If you don't have players who are willing to pass the ball, who are willing to hit the next guy, no matter what offense you have, it's going to stall. We have Brunson, we have Randall. Both of those guys play best with the ball in their hand. These are not guys that get the ball off the catch and make a quick move. These are guys that got to dribble and set their guy up in order to get into the key and create for themselves or others. So no matter what offense you run, when it gets to them, it's going to stop. That's just what it is. The other thing, and I'll say this again because I think it's important, you get some shooters on this team that can hit shots off of Randall and hit off of Randall's double teams and can hit shots off of Brunson breaking down the defense. This offense looks fantastic, right? And that's what they did in Milwaukee around Giannis. What offense are they running? They're not doing anything spectacular. But when you have the players who can hit the shots, the offense looks really good. Get us some players who can knock down shots consistently. This offense is going to look good. We could talk about Tibs, lack of, us not getting to game 6. The Knicks didn't even have to be spectacular shooters. Just shoot the way we shot, the percentages we shot in the regular season. The Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay. I remember us having a conversation like this about a year ago when I mentioned that Jalen Brunson was a Smurf, but I also felt like this team could win 50 games. And it seems as if, let me ask this, based off what you said, how do you get Knicks fans to be believers in what you said? Just by doing it?
I don't need Knicks fans to be believers.
No, Knicks. What if Knicks fans want to be believers?
I don't get it.
Like based off what you because okay, so what you said you just wrong. What you said is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You feel like it's right. No. It's not my. I'm not saying it like that. Listen, hear me out on what I'm saying. I'm saying if Knicks fans are saying what you're saying is wrong, right? How do you convince them that you're right? Right? Like I believe in what you're saying. Like when you upgrade talent, of course your talent should be better if it's upgraded, right?
It's not just the talent is going to be better. Offenses look better with talented players. Golden State offense looks mad crispy because they have players that can execute every single option. You get to the third option, they can execute it. You get to the fourth person, they can execute it.
Right.
You get to the Knicks, when you get to the third person, you get to Grimes, you get to Quick, in like a playoff situation, you expecting those guys to come through for you. You understand what I'm trying to say? And there's no disrespect toward them. They're just not there yet. So that's the point I'm trying to make. An offense looks great when you have players that can execute. And I would even argue the better the players you have, the simpler your offense can be. Because you got players that can read and react. So if you want to criticize Tibs because you're saying he's trying to run a read and react offense with players who aren't that smart, whose offensive IQs are not that high.
Okay.
Okay. But you also got to be careful when the offensive IQ is not that high. You can't have an offense that with so many different options off of it. You understand what I'm trying to say? So
I do.
So I think, what are we asking the players other than Brunson and Randall to do? Those guys are going to set you up. Randall off the double team, Brunson breaking the defense down, and all you have to do is shoot the open shots that you get. That's all we asking for in the offense, right? If you remember Milwaukee in the playoffs, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, what did Miami do? They built a wall around Giannis, similar to what they did to us in the playoffs. And they said, if you're going to win, you're going to have to shoot to win. What did they do? They went out and got shooters around Giannis. The rest is history. They got Brook Lopez. Middleton may have already been there. They got shooters around him. So now you got to pick your poison. It's the same thing with the Knicks. There's no shooters around those guys so they can pack the paint. You get shooters around those guys, you ain't got to change the offense because those guys. There was times RJ Barrett would go 0 for 9, 2 for 6. Grimes would go 2 for 8. They got open shots they weren't able to knock down. So people are focusing on, oh, we need a more complicated offense, or we need offense with more back cuts. That's fine. Do that. I don't have a problem with it. At the end of the day, you're going to have to be able to knock down outside shots. The Knicks need shooters. That's just where I'm at with the offense. Get shooters, this offense transforms.
So I agree. I think what you're saying makes absolute sense, right? Right, because when it comes to the
and move the ball,
when it comes to the offensive part of it, I don't care how you get buckets as long as you're getting buckets. Our issue has been, for instance, I don't care if Brunson and Randall average 29, 30 a game, as long as we can score, right? As long as they can do that consistently, I'm fine with it, right? I'm fine with that. My issue is against good teams and high leverage situations, we for some reason can't get over the hump. Right? That's my issue. I don't care
because we can't shoot, Freezie. Even with Randall, whether it's the injury or his player, whatever you want to call it, really not being a good enough factor in the playoffs. We knocked down a few shots. We in the Eastern Conference Finals. We knocked down a few shots. We not even having this conversation. So the point I'm trying to make, and it's to your point, you got shooters. You lock down Brunson. You lock down Randall, and they have to pass it out to guys. If those guys are hitting shots, then that team is going to have to decide. Whoa, well, we're going to continue doubling and paying attention to them and allowing these guys to knock down shots, or we're going to have to play straight up. Now we play straight up. Brunson and Randall can do their thing.
Every night, consistently.
But, and I will say, though, ball movement, is definitely a part of it, especially in those high leverage, those high leverage situations. No doubt about it. But I've seen motion offenses come to a halt with ball stoppers.
Right.
You got to have willing passers.
Right. Because motion offenses with no motion is ISO. Right. So I get that part. I was hoping that you would explain it in order to convince Knicks fans that the offensive part of it. I want to say that basically what it is in my mind. I'm just going to say it like this: is just make it plain, right? So we have a defensive-minded coach that runs basic level offense because, in my belief, the team's offensive basketball IQ is not high enough to execute. Right? When you look at what some of the young players did this season, is to me is very impressive. Grimes shot 39% from 3. That's above average. Quickley shot 37%. That's above average. I think where we struggle is RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, the team's third best player, the guy that we lean on for offense, is not efficient. Right, his shot is not there. He's inconsistent all over the place. Some nights he's a rebounder, other nights he's not. Some nights he's a defender, a lot of nights he's not. Some nights he's an offensive playmaker, a lot of nights he's not. And I don't know if that is RJ Barrett or if that's the way he's being used. Either way, the end result is not consistent enough for us to depend on. And some fans in Knicks universe would rather, instead of going through the inconsistencies from a night-to-night basis, not knowing what you're going to get, they would rather just trade and upgrade the small forward position with a guy that we can depend on. a guy that's trustworthy in that spot that can get you to 20 points, get you to 5 rebounds, get you to 4 assists, get you to halfway decent defense. And so when we look at Tom Thibodeau and blame Tom Thibodeau for offense, and you look at the inconsistencies of RJ Barrett, is it fair to blame Tibs if RJ Barrett is inconsistent? Or is RJ Barrett inconsistent because of what Tom Thibodeau is asking him to do on a nightly basis?
What is he asking him to do on a nightly basis?
I don't know. It seems like just put his head down and go to the rim.
Listen, RJ Barrett is limited at this point, so I can't see. All right, I get it. This is the narrative. When players don't perform, it's the coach, and when they do perform, it's them. Right. So Randall is a 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. That had nothing to do with Tibs. That's on him. Quickley was 2nd and 6th man of the year. That's on him. Right. But RJ Barrett is having an inconsistent season. That's on Tibs. I mean, come on. RJ Barrett
inconsistent career.
And that's on Tibs. We don't develop players, but yet look at IQ. You know what I mean? So anyway, this is what I'll say about RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has to develop his game. He gets the 3rd most shots on the team, and really close to Brunson on the season in terms of how many shots per game he gets.
Yeah.
What are you doing with those shots? So are you saying that he's not being put in the places where he needs to succeed? He takes most of his shots in the key, which is basically where he should be, because he
you mean am I saying it? No, I'm not saying I'm asking the question. I was asking the question.
Right. So he takes most of his shots in the key, which he should, because he doesn't have range.
Right.
He gets open catch and shoot 3-point shots. He's able to put the ball on the floor whenever RJ to me has gotten more range, free range than he should have given his game.
Right.
In my opinion, I think his shots, I think you might want to switch his shots with somebody else.
Right. What I'm saying about RJ Barrett, and I just want to be clear, RJ Barrett is wildly inconsistent. Wildly inconsistent, right? And RJ Barrett is a slot machine. You don't know what you're going to get every time he does something. You have no idea. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about RJ Barrett. That he is undependable. You don't know, right? For instance, I think the biggest flaw in his game is that he won't pass the basketball. He won't share it. The mere fact that you said he takes all those shots and is similar to Brunson on occasion, to me is a gross indictment on what RJ Barrett is an offensive player. Right? If he's taking that many shots and he's not passing, that means RJ Barrett is predictable. Right? And then if he's predictable, does he have a bag? No. So RJ Barrett has 1 or 2 moves. And if those are predictable, that means RJ Barrett is going to be inefficient because it's easy to defend. All he's going to do is go left. Right? He's going to throw something off the glass.
Right. I will say, though, given his predictability, he's still able to get to the rim pretty much at will.
Right.
He really is able to do that.
Right.
And you would think for his size, he could absorb the contact and finish a little better.
And you would think for his limited athleticism that he wouldn't be able to get to the rim. But he does. For all his natural limitations, he gets to the rim easily. Mm-hmm. Right. My thing is, though, even with that, getting there, it's like a dog chasing a car. Like when the dog catches the car, what the dog gonna do with it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's my thing with RJ. Right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you can get there, because are you gonna finish? Because you can get to the rim at an elite clip. Right. Can you finish at the rim at an elite clip? No.
That's the problem.
That's the problem,
and
right?
It's been a consistent problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then the thing about it is if you can get to the rim, and this would in my mind would make RJ Barrett better. if you can get to the rim at an elite level, knowing that you can't finish, can you at least set up others at a decent clip, at an above average clip, right? If you can get to the rim and draw in defenders and kick out to wide open shooters, why not do that? Why not throw the lob to Mitch? RJ Barrett tries to throw the lob to Mitch at least just once a game in the very beginning of the game, but you don't ever see that being a point of emphasis because RJ is not passing the ball to Mitch or to Grimes or to Brunson. As a
except for
matter,
in the playoffs. Like
well,
if what he did in the playoffs, he can bring that to the regular season. Now it's a whole different game.
right, right, right. And my thing too with him is if this is the new RJ, like what you just mentioned, I think we could probably live with that. But I think RJ has in his mind that he's a difference maker, right? Because in game 6, that last game that we saw RJ shot terribly, and he wasn't looking to pass either.
Right.
You know what I mean? He wasn't looking to make the play. So so in theory, it don't matter what Tom Thibodeau calls on offense. It don't matter because you have 3 left-handed dudes that ISO and keep the ball.
I yeah. Yeah. Um I just wanted to answer. Yeah. I wonder how much of that. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I agree that Randall and Grimes, excuse me, Brunson can both pass more.
Right.
You know, I think they'll be more encouraged to if they have players who can consistently knock it down. I don't know because I've played in games. You getting the ball in the post and you passing it out to people and they missing the shot. Like, nah, I'm just gonna go up against this double team right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes and that makes sense and people's it that makes sense in theory because you're thinking like until these dudes prove that they are trustworthy, I'm just gonna do it myself. It's just a part of it. But the thing is, I don't think it's fair to blame Tom Thibodeau on that. But I do have my misgivings about Tom Thibodeau and the way that he treats others. I think a lot of this has to do with um the confidence that Tom Thibodeau puts into people, and that's an intangible thing. Like you've ever been around people and like you want them to show you some confidence. You want them to believe in you, and they just don't. And you like, is it me or is it that person? And to be honest with you, it's not you. It's just that person. You know what I mean? Like the Dallas game, and I hate to keep just bringing up games and jogging people's memory, but you can tell in that Dallas game that we lost with Luka scored like 200 points and had 50 rebounds and like 90 assists. That Tom Thibodeau just didn't have confidence in Quentin Grimes, right? And you're like, yo, why don't you have confidence in Grimes, bro? Let that man bring the ball. You see, they're trapping Brunson, right? And so instead of you having confidence in Grimes bringing the ball up and at least getting into some type of offense, you're telling him not that, or I don't know if you told him that, but the directive was clearly get the ball into the hands of the best playmaker. That had to be the tenet there, where because you saw Grimes get the ball and he held it and waited on Brunson to come get the ball. Meanwhile, Dallas tied him up and it wound up being joint possession, and then Dallas wins the tip off at the circle, and then Christian Wood hits a 3.
It works both ways, Freezie. The coach needs to pump confidence in you, but you need to give the coach a reason to be confident in you. We
I
don't know
know.
what's going on in practice. He might be getting trapped in practice.
He may be.
You know, and
He
that
may
coach
be.
is like, you know what, just get the ball to Brunson. We like you here for your defense and your shooting, but your ball handling is not there yet. Just
Right.
get the ball to Brunson, get it to Randall, get it to RJ, let those guys, bring the ball up.
Right.
Listen, I do think pumping confidence into a player can make a difference. There's some players that's just a wet candle. You can pump all the confidence you are in them, it's just not going to light a fire. They
There's
they
not
they
gonna let a
just
fire.
done. But there are some players where it does make a difference, and then there are other players where it don't matter what you say to them. You can even try to tear them down. They're going to still remain confident, right?
RJ Barrett.
Right. Right. RJ Barrett. What shot? What are you talking
Who
about?
was you
When,
talking?
when they was asking him about his shot after the game, he's
Right.
like, "What you talking about? My shot is good." He was like 0 for 9 from
Oh,
3
for
that
9.
game or something like
Yeah.
that. So some
RJ Barrett.
players is not gonna matter. I think in the NBA, I think we often come to the NBA or think about the NBA with the same sensibility that we think about high school and college coaches. And the coaches are not here to develop you into men. The
Right.
coaches are not here to pump confidence in you. If you find a coach who does that, awesome. That's great.
Icing on the cake.
Right, icing on the cake. But if that's what you are looking for, if you come across a coach who doesn't do that, then your NBA career, what is not, it's going to stall. It's not going to go anywhere until you find a coach that pumps confidence in you. I mean, I get it. I just feel like this is a higher level, and those that make it in the NBA for the most part are those who are pretty confident in themselves.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, there's always stories where people were like, I wasn't that confident, but I had this coach, and this coach had confidence in me. And before you know it, then I started to have those stories abound too. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I mean, I wouldn't that if I'm in the NBA with the opportunity for generational wealth, I'm not leaving that to chance that I'm getting a coach that's gonna pump confidence in me.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's the reason why the thing is so intriguing. Like how we feel about Tom Thibodeau. I think people are on both sides of it. Like for those that go to work and they feel like they have a negative boss, like their boss performs at a decent level at a lot of things, but the environment is like one of them environments where you just like, we in here on eggshells every day. I don't have the freedom to blossom and be the best employee that I can be. But at the same time, the unit as a whole is productive. So you got to kind of walk that tightrope of just do what he tell you to do so the unit can perform. But you know that there were other things that you may be able to do. What I would say is there are a lot of Knicks fans that hit me up often that feel like Tom Thibodeau stifles that Tim stifles the development of the younger players because of his approach. And I can almost see where they have a point, because you can merely point out Kevin Knox, Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, and whether you feel like those players are NBA talents or not. They played under Tibs. We felt like, or some felt like those guys didn't get a fair shot or opportunity under Tibs, and they eventually wind up going other places, and we'll see what they become in other places.
But it's already out. Where has Frank become? What has Knox become? So
Right.
you can take any coach. There's
Okay.
always going to be players who don't develop under them. Pick a
Right.
coach. You're going to find players that didn't develop under them. How do you make the determination that it's the coach? How do you make the determination it's a player? So we're looking at Quickley, who's developed. We're looking at Grimes, who's coming along. This is just his second year. He needs to come along more. Some of these players are just limited. What else you expect to get out of Mitch? Is that Tibbs' fault that Mitch is not further along than he is? How much of it is on the coach and how much of it is on the players?
Um, I don't. Okay. So my thing with Mitch is this: if you understand what he is, if you understand what Mitchell Robinson is, then you understand that he is always developing. If you understand what he is. Now, if you look at Mitch for what you want him to be, if you want what you want Mitch to be, if you want Mitch to be DeAndre Ayton, Karl Anthony Towns, then of course you're gonna be frustrated that Mitch is not developing at the pace that you want him to develop.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? But Mitch is not Karl Anthony Towns. He's not DeAndre Ayton. Does it frustrate me the fact that Mitchell Robinson can't screen, can't roll, can't catch, can't pass, won't look to shoot? At times in game, it'll frustrate me in game, right? But basketball play is played on two sides of the floor, right? When you look at the defensive side, what Mitch does for a guy Mitch's size, he covers a lot of ground defensively and he makes it look easy. Because I'm going to tell y'all something, man. Randall is not a good defender. RJ Barrett is not a good defender. Jalen Brunson is not a good defender, right? But the Knicks overall are a good defensive team, right? You know why that is? Mitchell Robinson. Period. Mitch. Is Quickley a great defender? Yes. Is Grimes a pretty good, gonna be great defender someday? Yes.
Grimes
Right
is a
now,
good defender. Grimes is a good defender. His stats may not look as good because he's playing the best player on the other end, and those guys, you're only going to slow them down. You're not going to stop them.
yeah, that you're talking about the per possession against top scorers. Yeah, I get that, right? That's part of it, right? But at the same time, you also have to look at other things too. Like just to put Grimes in the category with Quickly, you can't do that. Because Quickly does the same thing. We looked at it on some weird stat website where they have graphs and charts and all kind of.
I'm not saying Quickley is not a good defender. I think Quickley, for most of the fans, is underrated. Quickley is an excellent defender. What I'm trying to say is Quickley doesn't have the assignments that Grimes have. So if Grimes' numbers look worse, it's easy to say Quickley is a better defender. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. That's reasonable.
And for all that Mitch is doing, he's still replaceable. People are acting like Mitch is not replaceable because he covers up defense. And then people act like Mitch don't have bad games either. If you look at Mitch, he's not always on point with his pick and roll defense. He's not always on point covering things up in the back. He's not perfect. He has bad games defensively as well.
It happens.
So I think I get what he's doing defensively, but it does not make up for the lack of offense at all.
Right. But that's like saying Jalen Brunson is on point offensively every game. He's not.
Right. He's not. But people act like Mitch is. People point out that Brunson is not. But everybody wants to act like Mitch is on point defensively all the time. And what are we going to do if we ever got rid of Mitch? Listen, Mitch missed, I don't know how many games this season. We was over 500. When Mitch missed most of the season 2 years ago, brick-handed Noel, who Mitch is better than, stepped in and did an adequate job, and the Knicks still was able to finish fourth, fifth, or sixth. Because though we say fourth, but it was a three-way tie.
It was a three-way tie, and we had a tiebreaker.
Right, correct. Knicks. The point is, for all Mitch does, he's still replaceable.
Right.
And when he hasn't been here, the Knicks replaced him quite well, actually.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Everybody on the Knicks roster is replaceable. I could replace any of these guys right now.
No doubt. But we talk about replacing those other guys. But whenever we talk about replacing Mitch, people have seizures. Like, oh my God, the team is going to fall down.
No,
when we have actual evidence that the team hasn't fallen down when he's been missing for extended periods of time.
No, we're not. No. So I'm not saying that Mitch is not replaceable. Right. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Mitch is a better player than what we give him credit for.
on the
Like people,
defensive end.
like people look at his 8-8 and just assume that you can go get anybody off the scrap heap to come give you 8-8.
Well, you can, but they may not give you the intangibles that Robinson gives you defensively.
Right.
You could bring Dorman in right now from Detroit. He's going to give you more than 8-8 in 30 minutes.
Right.
But can he defend the way Robinson is able to defend at this point? I'm not sure. I haven't watched him close enough.
Right.
But as far as the counting stats, yes, you can duplicate that. But to your point, the other stuff he does, maybe not. But I do think the other things he does has taken on is bigger than what it actually is.
Okay.
For some fans. You know, like oh my God, like whoa, we just can't function without Mitchell Robinson. Like that's for some fans, that's how important he is. And I don't think it's that.
Right. It's the same thing with some fans saying that Tom Thibodeau has to be fired because his offense sucks. Right.
You can not like something. Doesn't mean he has to be fired though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But you see how these extremes go back and forth with Knicks fans. They'll say certain things and you're like, relax. You don't have to fire Tibs because of his offense, right? And you don't have to trade Mitch because Mitch is not an offensive player, right? You don't have, you know what I'm saying? I understand that Mitch can be replaceable. The only thing that I would say about a Mitchell Robinson type replacement is be careful what you ask for, because we've had offensive centers that rebounded before and our defense was trash, right? I mean, man, Enes Kanter would get you 20 and 17 rebounds.
We're not talking about Enes Kanter. I'm talking about somebody like
No. Wait. Let me finish. What I'm saying is when we were talking about the counting stats thing that you mentioned, like you could just go out and get anybody that to put in that spot. What I'm saying is by saying that you can get a guy and put him in there. The Jalen Duren thing, I think what you were saying is I understand where you're coming from. Because for one, a Jalen Duren type guy is a modern NBA center that does what Mitch does, but also offer you the offensive upside where he screens. He's a hard roller to the basket. He finishes in traffic. He looks to catch and he looks to score on the offensive end, which makes everybody else on defense play an honest level of defense. Duren's man is not going to go zombie double Julius Randle like Mitch's man does, right? That's all. That's the thing that I'm getting at. Like the thing with Mitchell Robinson is on everybody. I think everybody is replaceable. Quickley, Grimes, Mitch, Randle, RJ, everybody. That's all I want to get to.
But that's not the point I was making about Duren. The point I was making about Duren is you can find anybody to replace Mitch counting stats 8-8, almost anybody.
Right.
But they may not be able to do the other things Mitch does, defensively. That was to your original point. They may not be good in pick and roll defense. They may not be good in rim protection. So I agree. So I agree. Yes, you could replace the 8-8, but the other stuff he does, that person may not bring, such as Enes Kanter. So that part I do understand. But what I'm trying to say is net positive is a thing too.
Okay.
So if you get a center that, is pretty good in pick and roll, like in drop coverage, they're pretty good rebounder, but they're not a rim protector, right? But they're a good rebounder. And they give you a little something on offense. How many
Andre Drummond.
Right. How many is he a good pick and roll defender?
No.
That's the point I'm trying to make. That's what I'm trying to say, Freezie. You can get somebody who's a good pick and roll defender, but maybe they're not a good rim protector.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But they bring in something on offense. So they still become a net positive for you, even though they're not doing the rim protection that Mitchell Robinson is doing. Right. You need some offense on that end.
Okay.
At that center spot. Unless the way he played against Cleveland, like his drawers was on fire, if that's how he's going to play every single game, Because there's games where Mitch play, you be like, whoa, he just changing the game. In those situations, you be like, yo, I know he's not giving us any offense, but look at that.
Right.
But he doesn't live on that level.
I know. I noticed though when we get into physical games where they let everybody play, Mitch is that. But anytime the whistle is quick, then you basically neutralizing all the Knicks big men.
I don't think it's just the whistle with Mitch. I
I
just think
do.
some
I
days
think
he
it's
has it
absolutely
and
that.
some days he doesn't.
I absolutely think that's a big part of it. Right. When that whistle is quick, you're basically taking Mitchell Robinson, one of our biggest weapons, out of it. And then there are stretches where big guy is just banged up and you know it. Like late in that Miami series, big guy is banged up and he gutted it out and tried to play through it. And I commend him for that. Right. I want to
Let
give
me
him
ask you
credit for
this
that.
question. So you're in the group of fans that feels like Mitchell Robinson, the way he is right now and the way he plays right now, despite the fact that you get no offense. And when I say no offense, I mean, I'm not even talking about shooting. I'm talking about catching it and facilitating the offense other than a dribble handoff. He's not even doing that. But he's doing so much on the defensive end that outweighs the lack of not just scoring, but just being an offensive cog, because he's not even an offensive like you can't throw the ball to him on a zone at the free throw line and have him turn around and hit a cutter or hit somebody
Okay.
at the 3-point. Like, so it's one thing not to score, but don't even have, in my opinion, offensive sensibilities. You know what I mean?
Right.
To me, I just think it's too much.
So I mean, what are you asking me though?
So are you one of the fans who feel like his what he brings us on defense is so great that it overrides the lack of scoring and even moving the offense along with a pass? That his defense is that his defense so much outweighs the offense that it's worth it having somebody there that
Okay.
doesn't score or even facilitate the offense.
Okay. So no, I'm not. But I'm not. But I understand for those that do. Right. Like for instance, I think it's an abomination that Mitchell Robinson catches the ball at the free throw line and keeps his back to the rim and looks for the dribble handoff. Don't even turn around and look at the rim. Right. On dribble handoffs, on the one time I saw Mitchell Robinson one time, right, faked the dribble handoff and went around the Charlotte Center and went to the rim and dunked. Right? And every Nick, I think, remembers that play where Mitch just faked the dribble handoff and the dude just went with the dribble handoff. And Mitch was like, okay, I'm going to just go to the rim and dunk it. Right? Everybody remembers that, right? That one play. But my thing is with Mitch is I understand Mitch's overall value to this starting five, to this team. Would I like for him to be more of an offensive threat? Yes. Do I think he can do it more consistently? He
No.
should. He should. No, I'm not talking about basketball moves. What I'm talking about is be an offensive threat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when you catch the dribble handoff, can you at least look at the rim? Right? Can you at least do that? On a dribble handoff, can you not make it obvious that you're doing a dribble handoff? Where your defender can just sag back to the rim and bump RJ Barrett as he cuts on the weak side, right? He ain't even worried about Mitch doing that. Like I saw Clint Capella do it. The Knicks ran a dribble handoff on the wing, right? For I think it was Grimes to come get the ball from Mitch. And Clint Capella, seeing Mitch, as soon as Mitch caught the ball, he backed all the way up to the rim and bumped RJ Barrett as RJ Barrett left one corner and was trying to come around. And so what that tells me off rip is they don't even respect Mitch's offense enough to feel like he's a threat. So they go double team other players and make it difficult on other players. Right? If that had been Karl Anthony Towns, Clint Capella would have been up on Karl Anthony Towns because Cat could either shoot or threaten to take him off the dribble or to do the dribble handoff, and the guy that was cutting backside would have probably been wide open underneath the rim. But those are the type things that we have to deal with Mitchell Robinson because defensively he does so many things, right? Like he's a decent shot blocker. He's a good rim protector, right? He roams the baseline. He's good at at showing and recovering. He's good in drop coverage. He's good at a lot of stuff.
He is, but the Knicks, I think, as an organization, act like they stuck with him.
Okay, maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
You know, maybe they are. You know, and for what we get out of, quite frankly, for what we get out of a second round pick, I think we knew Mitch was limited on draft day. He was a second round pick, right? And I'm not saying that a second round pick can't win the league MVP. That's not what I'm saying. Most of the time, excuse me, most of the times in the second round, you're drafting a guy in the second round, so he'll be a rotation piece. We developed him into a starter.
No, we put him in as a starter. We put him in as a starter. Anyway, I'm gonna stand by it. You need to have a center. I would give up a little bit of defense for a little more of an offensive threat.
Okay.
I'm not saying no defense at all, but I would give up a little bit of defense for a little more of an offensive threat. Mitch guy can just roam. He doesn't have to respect Mitch at all.
At all, right? No, I agree.
And that makes it hard for the rest of our guys. We're better defensively when Mitch is on the floor, but we're better offensively when he's off the floor.
Right.
Every lineup is better, or most of the lineups are better with Mitch off the floor.
Right.
Offensively.
Right.
Brunson's offensive rating goes through the roof when Mitch is off the floor.
You mean when the paint's not clogged?
Right.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
His offensive rating goes through the roof.
Yeah.
So I get it, with our lack of perimeter defenders, Brunson not being a defender, you want to have a good defender back there. I get it. I'm just saying we don't have to be married to Mitch. You can get somebody that's a little less good defensively, bringing a little more offensively, and it's going to be a net positive for the team overall.
Let me tell you. I'll tell you just really quickly. What I would say, and I know this is going to sound like sacrilege, because I love RJ Barrett. Right? I love RJ Barrett, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been on this RJ Barrett train since 2017. If we can upgrade RJ, then I would love to keep Mitch.
Well, if you upgrade RJ, that's a reason to move off of Mitch. If you have better perimeter defenders, you can move off. You can move off of Mitch.
Yeah, I mean,
if Brunson somehow wakes up with a little pixie dust and becomes a Van Vliet at the point guard position, you don't need a defensive minded. You need a center that can play defense, but he doesn't have to be a Mitch.
Right.
If you have better defenders up front.
Yeah. What I'm saying, even though I love RJ, I understand. We are who we are. Ultimately, we are who we are, right? My thing with RJ is I'm struggling with how RJ Barrett can be more consistent in all of his stuff. And I don't see, can you help me understand that? Is there a road to RJ Barrett being more consistent in his overall game?
If you did a screen share, you couldn't do a screen share on my side, because I got the cleaning the glass. RJ Barrett's shooting accuracy.
Okay.
All blue.
That's not good.
All blue. At the rim, short mid-range, long mid-range, all mid-range, corner threes, non-corner threes, all threes. Last year, all blue.
All blue.
And for his 4-year career, there's only out of 28 categories, only 4 of them are lightly orange out of 28 categories. So, and this is accuracy. He hasn't been an efficient shooter throughout his career.
Right.
it's hard for me to think that that part is going to change. I think for RJ Barrett to be, in my opinion, a good NBA player, it's going to have to be something other than shooting efficiency. It's going to have to be defense. It's going to have to be playmaking. It's going to have to be, like those guys, like the Josh Hart type guys, like those guys who come in and do a little bit of everything and just make
Right.
the team better. That's going to have to be RJ. I don't see this shooting turning around.
I, I heard State say one time, and shout out to State of the New York Knicks podcast, right? I think RJ Barrett just might have to become, and when State said it, it just ruined my day at the time. But I think he may be onto something. Meaning State of the New York Knicks podcast. He said that RJ Barrett may just have to become Ruben Patterson. And when I heard it, I was thinking, what? Ruben Patterson. Then when I thought about who Ruben Patterson was as a player, just a tough-nosed guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Spends most of his energy on defense, rebounds the ball decently.
Yeah. I remember him. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? RJ Barrett may have to just try to become him. You know what I'm saying?
Present day that the fans might be able to connect with. Another example.
I'm sorry?
Is there another example, more recent example that the fans may be able to connect with? Because he's 47 right now. I don't know how old our audience is.
I don't know if there is a guy out there.
Jeff Green?
Yeah, Jeff
Green started his career, though. That's similar to RJ, doing, all around, but I think he was more efficient, though.
Right. And Jeff Green was more of an athlete. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He still is.
Yeah.
That's okay if we can't find anybody.
Yeah, Eddie C said Dylan Brooks. I'm thinking Dylan Brooks might be the best example. Like RJ, if RJ can become our Dylan Brooks, then maybe that guy. Because I don't see, unless RJ does it this season, I don't see the Jimmy Butler long-term thing. You feel me? Like, do you ever see a world where RJ Barrett is going to become Jimmy Butler?
It's possible. I mean, Jimmy Butler took off kind of late. It might have been later than his 5th season.
Right. And Jimmy Butler played 4 years at Marquette.
Right.
So Jimmy Butler was a very late bloomer.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we would take Tobias Harris. You know what I'm saying? We would take Tobias Harris at this point, like pseudo ISO scorer, wing defender, sacrifice for the team, 3-point shooter, multiple position defender, multiple position playmaker on offense. If RJ was Tobias Harris, I think
expiring contract.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we would. Yeah, I think we would take. We would take that. I mean, I don't know what I just don't know what to expect from RJ Barrett at this point, because when you look at his numbers and stuff, you'll look at his season, and every season there is this thing. He's going to start the season off slow. He's going to have some injury that he's trying to play through, right? He's going to do that for like 2 months. And then he's going to have the breakout game where he scores like 38 points against a team that you don't expect. Like he's going to, like, who's the NBA champ? The Denver Nuggets. Okay. So he'll have like a 38-point game against the Denver Nuggets in a nationally televised game. They get your hopes up. And then he'll have a week where he's averaging like 28 points a game. And then you're like, oh, this is the RJ we've been waiting for. And then all of a sudden, he'll have that bad game against the Charlotte Hornets, who all 5 of their starters are out. RJ Barrett's going to shoot 3 for 17. and you like, RJ, how do you go 3 for 17 against a G League team and then score 38 against the Denver Nuggets? And then it makes you think like, okay, what RJ are we getting? That's RJ Barrett in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
That's RJ. And so do you wait on that? Do you wait on that? Like if you're a Knicks fan, like how long do you wait on RJ Barrett?
I mean, listen, this is the conversation that hopefully the front office is having. Anybody, anybody can wait for a player to get to their height and then make a decision.
Right.
Okay, this is his ceiling. By that time, it's too late.
Right.
You're not going to be able to get anything if you wait for a player to get to their ceiling. This is why the front office get paid the big bucks. You got to
Right.
extrapolate. You got to project. You got to look at a play in year 2 and year 3 and say, do we hold because we think this guy is going to reach his ceiling and that ceiling is a high ceiling?
Right.
Or do you say, we didn't have this guy in the building for 3-4 years. I don't think he's going to be that. We
Right.
might want to move him now while he has some value. We wait till year 5 and 6 where it's clear
Right.
that his ceiling is not that high. What are we going to be able to get for him now?
Right.
You understand? That's so if you're going to wait, let's just wait and wait and wait. You don't get paid the big bucks to do that as a front office. Anybody can wait to year 8 and make a determination on a player.
Right.
You and I can do that.
Right. Right.
You in that front office to build and reshape this roster into a championship contender, and you got to. It's like stocks. You got to make that determination before. Don't try to sell me Amazon stocks now. I'm not getting rich off of that. 10 years ago, I'd be sitting pretty right now.
Right. Right.
That's what the front office has to do.
Right. I am. Let me offer you this. What I would do if I'm the Knicks right now, I'm looking at Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle's window, and it's basically 2 years. You got to do something these next 2 years, or you're gonna be in trouble, right?
You think so?
Yeah.
You don't think you can? You're gonna extend Brunson.
If Brunson takes the extension, yeah,
right. And if Randall ever shows in the playoffs like he does in the regular season, like say he does that next season and the season after that, I'm extending him too. Right. Because if you got Randall playing the way he's playing in the regular season, you don't need a star.
Right.
You just build around those two.
Right.
So a lot of it is going to depend on how Randall is in the playoffs the next year or two.
Right. Absolutely. And so if you're the Knicks, I challenge the Knicks to do this. This is from somebody who's watched probably too much NBA basketball, so much so that I'm probably embarrassed or ashamed. If I'm the Knicks, I'm looking to trade RJ Barrett right now, right? And not for a star either. I'm looking to trade RJ Barrett for a young player on a controllable contract right now. Dump that money and get the same production is basically what I'm saying. And look, and I would even say for instance, if you're the Knicks, would you entertain Ty Washington, Tyree Eason for RJ Barrett? Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I don't know about that. And I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Tyree Eason.
Eason, yes.
I love him. But I think they would have to throw in a little bit more.
I'm not trying to get no more than that.
RJ Barrett, just Tyree Eason and Ty Washington?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You don't think you can get a little more for RJ Barrett?
What's a little bit more? Because you get Tyree Eason, you know he's coming in to be the starter right away.
You think Tyree Eason is a starter?
Yeah, with the unit that we have, based on our roster,
see him as a 4. Well, he can probably play. He can play both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. I think you could play him a lot of 3 because remember you have Josh Hart coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember you have Josh Hart coming off the bench, right?
He's not a good shooter. Let me see. 34. I'm like, he's not he shot 34% from three. That's more than RJ Barrett. But
Right.
he only took 2 attempts per game.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tari Eason is what, 22, 21? Right? So you're talking about
How old
you're
is
t-
Tyrese?
you're talking about the key to this the key to this thing is this. The key to it is you're resetting the rookie contract scale. Like RJ is going to make what, 26 million this year, and Tata Washington and Tari Eason together, I think is probably going to make somewhere like short of 10 million.
In 21 minutes a game, he averaged 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, half a block in 20 to like he came into the game on fire.
I
9.3 points.
I like the
He's
fact that he's a multiple position defender.
yeah, no doubt.
That's the thing that I like.
I
So.
still think you could get more for RJ Barrett than Tyree Eason, and I like him.
So you don't like Tata Washington then?
Tata Washington is okay. I liked him coming out of college. A lot of fans didn't. I like
Right.
Tata coming out of Kentucky.
Right.
He's been moved around like 3 times.
They've been traded twice
He's at
together.
OKC now.
Tata Washington?
He went
Wow.
from Atlanta. He went from who was he drafted? He was drafted by somebody.
He
Then
was
he went
drafted
to
by Houston,
I think Memphis, and then went to Houston.
Memphis, and then went to Houston. Yeah, that's right.
Then went to Atlanta, and now he's in OKC.
Yeah, I thought he went to. They didn't go to Brooklyn.
Unless he's been traded.
No, they
Unless
both
he's
went
been
to. Yeah,
traded.
no, they. I think they both went to OKC for. I think they both went to the Nets in the Patty Mills trade.
So
I thought they played. I think thought they
really,
played for the Nets.
he could have. The last I heard was OKC. Yeah, he's in OKC now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So where's Tari Eason? Tari Eason is in
It's
with the
still in
Nets.
Houston.
What is he? I thought he got traded. They got traded together.
Mm,
Yeah, I thought they got traded to Atlanta together, but I don't know.
It wasn't Eason though.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still on he's still in Houston.
Okay. Okay. So I would look at something like that. I would definitely look at something like that. Like excuse me, Tari Eason type guy for RJ Barrett. Maybe
Yeah.
I can get 2 of them. Maybe I can send RJ to Orlando for like 2 of those, or to the Wizards for Kispert and the other guy, Abdija. Maybe
Wow.
I can get maybe I can do something like that
Wow.
where
None of
it's
those guys are defensive guys though.
well, Kispert is not. Abdija is looking like he wants to be that, even though he may not be that yet.
Right. The
So
thing with Tyree, I mean, we wouldn't be able to, he can back up Randall too.
yeah.
He can
Oh,
play back up.
Garuba was the one that got traded with Tata.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I would look at something like that. Reset RJ Barrett's contract, man. Go get a guy, a first or second year player, maybe 2 of them, and reset the salary for those guys, and then let them play. Would you do RJ for Herb Jones?
Yeah. I like Herb Jones.
By RJ,
I like
and
Herb Jones
and
a
I like
lot.
RJ.
A lot. I like him a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I would consider those type something like that for RJ, like because at this point where you already have 4 years in,
Yeah.
you already have the 4 years in. You're like, over these 4 years, have we seen anything that lets us feel like RJ Barrett is going to be consistent throughout the season? No,
Right.
no. RJ Barrett is yeah. I'm frustrated by it. But let me ask this though: do you believe the front office believes in RJ?
They don't really talk. They don't really give a lot of indications, except for the fact that he was in that Donovan Mitchell trade.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, they don't give you don't get a lot coming out of the front office in terms of how they feel about a player. I think if they had the opportunity to get off of him, they would.
Mm. And my thing is
I
I
think they would.
think I think they believe wholeheartedly in Randall and RJ.
Mm,
I believe the front office thinks that those two are cornerstone pieces, right? And my thing is
I
if
don't know about
if
cornerstone. That's kind of strong.
yeah, look at the money. You know, I mean, yeah. I don't know where else to know how else to feel about it. They believe in Brunson, they believe in RJ, they believe in Randall. The one that they would come
And
off
Mitch.
first, and Mitch. I think the one they would come off first is RJ. And it's not even because they dislike RJ. It's just because you can go small forward is the easiest position to find consistency at.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can find 6, 7 scorers anywhere USA. It's the same thing with 6-2 scorers. I feel like you can find a 6-2 scorer anywhere USA.
Right.
Now finding a 7 foot rim defender that does certain things at elite level, it might be harder to find those, right? But you'd be willing to give up some of what Mitch does in order to get something that Mitch doesn't do.
Right. Right.
I kind of agree with you on that.
Right. Right. And I will say, some in the chat is talking about Herb Jones only scored 10 points a game. It's his overall game. And it's not only that, it's what he would do for our particular lineup.
Right.
Because if you
Right.
got Grimes and Herb Jones as your wing defenders,
Yeah. Now you talk.
this
Now
is a
you
different
talking.
team,
Now you
you know?
talking. If you throw out a lineup of some combination of Deuce, Quickly,
Oh,
Grimes, Herb Jones, and Mitch, I don't think the other team can score.
yeah, we wouldn't score much either, though.
We won't score nothing now. Now we ain't gonna score nothing either. Yeah,
We ain't gonna
yeah.
score either.
No, we ain't gonna score it at all. It's gonna be like, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think the front office believes in RJ. But I think they believe in Randall, and I think they believe in Mitch and in Brunson. The others, I think believe in them, but it's more wait and see. Like they need to see more. Like I think they need to see more out of Quickly, right? And I think
You
they
don't
need to
think they
see more
believe
out
in
of Grimes.
Quickley?
Yeah, I think they believe in them. I think they believe, but I'm talking about to an extent. Like, do they believe in
Right.
Quickly as much as they believe in Randall? No.
No.
Yeah, but do they believe in him? Yes, I think so. Or he'd have probably already been gone.
Right.
Do you believe in Quickly?
I believe in Quickley, but I also believe from an asset management perspective, he's, they don't see him as a starting point guard because they brought in Brunson. They don't see him as a potential starting two guard because they never played him with Brunson. Like, it's not even a debate, even in a content creation world. It's not even much of a debate. Should Quickly start over Brunson? I mean, excuse me, over Grimes. I may have seen one or two shows, with that theme. So
Right.
they don't really see him as a starting two guard.
Right.
So how much money do you want to pay him to come off your bench? And can you use that money and his talent to get a starting level three guard that can give you a little bit more than what we're getting from RJ Barrett?
Mm, that's a tough question. I would say I would say it like this: are we really looking to pay RJ, Quickley, Josh Hart all $20 million a year?
Correct.
You know what I mean? Now you're like, oh my goodness, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Is right.
You know what I mean? And my belief is that Quickley is a high level starter at the point guard position.
Okay.
That's what I think. And the reason why I think that is because in today's NBA, most point guards play the position differently. Like you don't see on a night to night basis. Like there may be a night where you might run into Damian Lillard one night and Steph Curry the next night, and you're like, okay, both of these dudes are gonna do the same thing. But when you're on that West Coast trip, you're also gonna play De'Aaron Fox, right? Who plays the point guard totally different.
Right.
And then you're gonna see Russell Westbrook, who plays the point guard totally different, right? And then whoever the Lakers are gonna play at point guard, I don't know who they have, but they don't have a Steph Curry, Damian Lillard. They don't have a Russell Westbrook type point guard. And the thing with Quickley is Quickley at this point, you don't often see starting point guards that are elite defensively and elite offensively at the same time. So if Quickley was to become a starting point guard, one of those things are going to go away, right? Because of the burden it takes to carry a team. Like if Quickley is going to be all offense, then you'll see his defense go away, even though you know there's the potential for him to be that.
Right.
Or if Quickley is going to be an elite defender, you're going to see his offense struggle because it's hard to be a two-way player in the NBA. Right? It's just the two-way thing, the two-way player thing in the NBA is a fallacy. Like the 3-and-D player, that type thing, we say it often, but those guys are asked to do so much that they get injured so often that you rarely see them exist. But they exist in spurts. Like they're only going to play 55, 60 games and frustrate you because even in those 55, 60, 65 games that they play, they're still going to be walking around dinged up, injured, playing through something. And it's sad that it's like that, but you know, the thing is being a 3-and-D play or an offensive and defensive play at the same time is tough in today's NBA, especially on the perimeter.
Right. Well, if IQ is that, to my point, you can use him to get a wing.
Okay.
Right.
What type wing you talking about?
I need somebody who can defend and score.
The only deal that I'm looking to do if I'm the Knicks, well, not even if I'm the Knicks, if I'm the boss, the only deal that I'm looking to do, right, is Emmanuel Quickley for Trey Murphy III. That's the only deal around the league that I would even consider. I'm not putting Quickley in a Paul George trade. No, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not putting Quickley in an OG Anunoby trade. I'm not putting them in a Brandon Ingram trade.
Why not?
Right? No, I ain't. No, I ain't.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
You get a Brandon. I like OG. But I love Brandon Ingram.
Right.
If you get a Brandon Ingram, that's somebody that you could pay over $20 million, over $30 million, and he's starting for you.
Right.
As opposed to Quickley coming off the bench, where basically with Quickley, you are locked into a 9-man rotation. Because if you go 10, his minutes is really going to be limited. Right.
But you got to hear me on. I never said I dislike Brandon Ingram. I never said that. What I'm saying is the only trade that I wouldn't trade Quickley for Brandon Ingram because Quickley would go there and be the starter. Mm-hmm. And then Brandon Ingram would come here and have to share the basketball with Brunson and Randall. And you may not get the same level of production that you got when it was just Brandon Ingram and 5 and 4 other defenders.
But you know what? That would have been the same issue had we brought Paul George here. That's going to be the same issue no matter who you bring here to play with Brunson and Randall. That's going to be the issue. They're going to have to figure it out.
Right.
So,
and for that reason, if you remember what I said, I said I wouldn't put Quickley in the Paul George trade.
Okay. Well, I just disagree. I would.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
no, at some point the Knicks are going to have to upgrade that 3 position, and I would
right.
like for them to upgrade it with somebody better than Randall, or better than Brunson, or at least as good as Brunson.
Well,
I don't think. Yeah.
hear me out on it. So I wouldn't put, but hear me out on it because of what I'm speaking to varying degrees. What I wouldn't put Quickly in the trade for them. Now, who I would put in that trade, RJ Barrett. Now, I would make the Brandon Ingram and something for RJ Barrett and something for Brandon Ingram. Yes, I would do that, right? But I wouldn't do it for Quickly because I feel like Quickly has a, I'm not saying he's going to be an elite point guard, but I think he would bring elite skills to the point guard position.
But our point guard position is already set. He'll never get point guard position minutes for us
Right.
as a
Right.
starting point guard. That's the point I'm saying. So to me, I feel like I wouldn't say a waste of money, but that money could be better used for a starter than to have it tied up in somebody who's not going to start for you at the 1 and not going to start for you at the 2.
Right. But with that said, my issue is, why are you holding on to RJ Barrett when you know RJ Barrett won't be the starter at the 3? Why don't you just
Both
trade
of
the
them.
3?
Both of them.
Okay. All right.
Both of them.
Okay. All right. So okay. So I get what you're saying, but I just want you to understand where I'm saying. If you're upgrading the 3, why don't you just send the 3 that you already have?
That's fine too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be adverse if somebody didn't want RJ Barrett. I wouldn't be adverse to trading Quickly for that small forward and moving RJ Barrett for something else.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. What I would do is definitely look at it for Brandon Ingram.
Because if they
looking.
don't want RJ Barrett, what you gonna do? If they say I don't want RJ Barrett, I want Quickly. Oh, he's
Okay.
untouchable. Why?
Well, what if they say they don't want Quickly, they want RJ Barrett?
Oh,
It's
that's good too.
it's the same. Yeah, it's
Either
the same thing.
one. You can have
Yeah.
either one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the expansion draft.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
put a few players that you don't want to include in the trade,
Yeah.
and then you take your pick of the rest.
I would say, I guess ultimately what I'm getting at is when I look at Quickly's numbers, when I look at Quickly play, I think Quickly has a higher upside than RJ Barrett.
I agree.
Right. And so if you're asking me which guy with the higher or which guy do you want to keep based on what their future is going to look like, I would rather send RJ and maybe even Grimes, even though I like Grimes.
It's all fine and good, but I think what you're not putting into the equation, Freezie, is where is Quickly going to play, and how much money are you going to pay for somebody to come off of your bench?
You mean play where? Play for the Knicks or play for them?
Right, play for the Knicks.
Okay.
You know, he's playing off the bench.
Right. Right.
That's my only issue. Now, if you want to say I would start Quickly, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it'll be kind of smallish, but I don't have a problem with that.
And
I
NBA teams
like
start with
Quickly.
small backcourts all the time.
Yeah, I like Quickly's upside. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the Knicks don't seem committed to him as a starting player.
Right.
And he's gonna command a lot of money. And I think that could be a good chip for you. I gotta get out of here though.
Yeah, me too. I got some stuff I gotta. Hey everybody, I'm sorry about doing this abruptly, but I got some stuff
I gotta get out of here.
finish by Monday. I got a Monday deadline for some stuff. Queen B, thank you for coming through, rocking with us.
Appreciate you.
Hey, chat. Hey, thank y'all for coming through, rocking with, spending y'all lunch with us. Just real quick, Paris Douglas says, I like. I think Evan. Let me see. There it is. I think like Evan thinks he's better than RJ. Bim. Thank you for that, bro. Thank you for the generous contribution. We out of here, y'all. Peace.